All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia is something that Ryan Garcia says that he wants, that he's ready for it. However, his trainer thinks a little bit wiser of it and said, nah, man, you're going to need about 2-3 more fights before you're ready to step up with those guys. Obviousness. But let's talk about that, Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis, and what Eddie Reynoso had to say about it in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. Gotta love this quarantine boxing, you know what I mean? So you take what news you can, man. Try to keep up to date with the sport world of boxing. So when I was reading through my stuff this weekend and this morning, just trying to see what was going on, ran across something I thought was really funny, which was Eddie Reynoso rejecting the idea that Ryan Garcia is ready for Gervonta Tank Davis. Now that is something that I know you should know and anybody else should know. However, when you're young and you're confident, and you're ready to go, you're coming off of some back-to-back knockouts, you're kind of feeling froggy, so you get to run in your mouth, man, and maybe talking up something that you ain't quite ready for. And in the case of Ryan Garcia, that is the fight with Gervonta Davis, which seriously, man, it's been killing me. Well, not killing me like in a bad way, but I just laugh at it, man, because 3 fights ago, Ryan Garcia was a question mark. He gets a couple really spectacular knockouts, and now, man, he's really feeling himself. But here's the thing with Ryan Garcia, man. Ryan Garcia has yet to have a fight against anybody that is remotely on the level of Gervonta Davis. Now, he is somebody that has gotten a lot of accolades, not a lot of accolades, a lot of attention because he's an excellent fighter. The first time that I really heard of Ryan Garcia was conversations about who had won the most amateur fights between he and Devin Haney. There's actually some I'm not sure if there's footage of them sparring. I think actually the footage of sparring is Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson. But regardless, the story around Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, that they had like 6 amateur fights or 7 amateur fights, and it was 4-3 one way or the other. I think that most sources have it as being 3-3 or 4-3 in favor of Ryan Garcia. So the fact that that he was able to beat Devin Haney in the amateur says that the guy's a good fighter, provided that he didn't get Devin Haney, he didn't start boxing a lot earlier than Devin Haney and get him at an early stage in his amateur career. But what you can see out of Ryan Garcia since he came into the professional ranks at a very young age, along with the other guys around his class that I think they all came in pretty young, like a Teofimo Lopez, I'm sure Money Pal the fourth, not Shakur Stevenson, but Ryan Garcia, and there's another one, the group of those guys that Devin Haney, I probably might even said Devin Haney, a bunch of guys that would have been able to go to the 2020, that would have been able to compete for the 2020 Olympics, but because they pushed that age limit back. I think maybe not 2020, it might have been the 2016 Olympics that they were trying to get into, but since they moved the age range up to 19, they were stuck in that time frame where they would have had to stay amateur for past the time that they would really want to turn pro. So all those guys turn pro. Ryan Garcia turns pro, and he turns pro probably a little more green than he would have been if he had been allowed to fight and take an extra year and go into the Olympics. So Ryan Garcia comes in, Devin Haney comes in, Money Pal comes in, and all of these guys are exceptional fighters, but just look a little more green in the early part of their careers. But you can see how they progress. Now, I know Shakur Stevenson actually went to the Olympics, but you can see how after just a few fights, man, because I didn't really think that highly of Shakur Stevenson, but all of a sudden, man, he just, when his man strength, the way they phrase it, man strength came in, he really started looking good. So the same thing happened with Ryan Garcia over the last couple fights where, he fights Jason Duno, or excuse me, was it Jason Duno first? Yeah, I think it was Jason Duno first. And that was somebody that people believed that Ryan Garcia didn't want to fight because of some things that had happened relative to Jason Duno being a replacement for the fight before. So I guess for something happened where Jason Duno wasn't the replacement fighter for Ryan Garcia, and as a result, there was a bit of a storm, and people thought maybe Ryan Garcia was scared of Jason Duno. But then they make the Jason Duno fight. And Jason Duno is a tough Filipino fighter. I think he's out of the United States, but I'm pretty sure he's from the Philippines as well. I'm not sure exactly where he lived. But anyway, Ryan Garcia knocks out Jason Duno in one round, and then he backs it up with knocking out somebody in the first round who took Gervonta Davis several rounds to knock out. And that is Francisco Fonseca. So reasonably enough, he's feeling high. He's feeling, confident. Devin Haney gets in the ring with him, and then, Devin Haney and he start talking about fighting. But, most of the conversations after that point for Ryan Garcia revolved around trying to get the Gervonta Tank Davis fight. Now, it's reasonable that he would want to fight Gervonta Davis because, man, as very obviously the case, Gervonta Davis is the money man at 135 pounds, even though he doesn't hold any of the major championship belts. He's still the guy that Vasily Lomachenko wants to fight, Teofimo Lopez wants to fight, so it's not unusual or not strange for Ryan Garcia to want the same thing. So anyway, Ryan Garcia wants to fight him. They're going back and forth on Twitter and or whatever, all the stuff that's been going on. But I'm sitting there the whole time listening to this, thinking to myself, Gervonta Davis is not Duno, and he's definitely not Francisco Fonseca. Just because you look good at that particular level does not necessarily mean that you are ready for Gervonta Davis. Despite all of the crap talking that's going on around Gervonta Davis, Gervonta Davis is no joke. You got Robert Garcia saying that Gervonta Davis has problems, right? Obviously, he's talking about the weight problems or the issues making weight, which they are tacking up to him not training properly. I guess people perceive. Now, I didn't perceive this in the Yuriorkis Gamboa fight, but hey, man, I'm not Robert Garcia, so Robert Garcia obviously would have a better eye for those things than I do. So, but from what I saw, it looks like he just took care of business against Yuriorkis Gamboa. And from time to time, he would take his foot off the gas a little bit because Yuriorkis Gamboa really wasn't pressing him. Yuriorkis Gamboa was looking because of his leg or whatever reason, he was looking for opportunities to catch Gervonta Davis on the way in and catch him in the middle of some exchanges. And Yuriorkis Gamboa is big enough of a puncher to hurt Gervonta Davis like he hurt Terrence Crawford and knocked out a whole bunch of other people. So he was a little bit more slow in his approach, but he winds up knocking him out. That said, though, it's a lot of courage. The combination of Yuriorkis Gamboa looking like he was able to do whatever small amount that he was able to do with Gervonta Davis, and the fact that Gervonta Davis is the money man got Ryan Garcia feeling himself. But Eddie Reynoso, who's the trainer for Ryan Garcia and the trainer for Canelo Alvarez, thinks a little bit better of it and is like, we need about three more fights before that fight can happen. And that's just gets common sense. That's what you absolutely want to do with a guy like Ryan Garcia, especially when Ryan Garcia is still fighting with his chin up in the air, looking like Amir Khan's nephew. I was looking at the Duno fight. I'm looking at the what is this guy's Fonseca fight? I looked at the fights before, and his chin it's right up there, man, sitting tall. It's not tucked. It's not shifted off to the side. It looks like it's dead up in the middle, setting up on a tee for somebody like Gervonta Davis or Teofimo Lopez or Devin Haney to tee in. Now, there's something that they got to deal with coming in, but it still looks shady, and that's not something that you can see. Like, for example, Eddie Reynoso's biggest project, obviously, is Canelo Alvarez, and you don't see that at all out of Canelo Alvarez. Now, I would suspect that what they want to do is fix some of those gaping holes in his game with a couple of fighters, maybe a level above Francisco Fonseca. Maybe they want to pull out, a tricky fighter like like Corrales. Was it Giselle Corrales? Or is he at 130? He was at 130. So moving a guy like that up to 135 pounds, or even a guy like Alberto Machado, somebody like that, maybe a former 130 pound fighter, with a good name that's moving up to 135 pounds, maybe those type of guys for Ryan Garcia. But Ryan Garcia is going to need some time to catch up to where Gervonta Davis is in the level of experience and the level of skill. Because I think, Ryan Garcia, just like Teofimo Lopez, just like Raleigh Romero, just like, these other guys that are Devin Haney that are calling out and talking about Gervonta, they have advantages over him. And those advantages are, their size. Those guys are a lot bigger guys. They're guys that are going to wind up fighting in 140 and 147. And Gervonta Davis, he's just a smaller guy. So, there are some advantages that Ryan Garcia has, but I just don't think, and I think that that Eddie Reynoso is right now not to don't try to push that case too early, especially since Ryan Garcia has the ability, the potential to have his own star power independent of Gervonta Davis. He's a very gregarious guy. He's a guy that, that female boxing fans, that he might be able to pull their interest, but so you don't want to throw him in there too quickly. And I'm glad to see that Eddie Reynoso's got that sense. Anyway, you let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.